guys, like, I think this is my new party trick. Like, I should just pull up a lemonade stand in the middle of Madison Square Park and be like, awkward conversations, $10 with Jessel Taank. Like,
virtual reality.
Hi, I'm Danny Murphy.
I'm Evan Real.
And Evan, I don't know about you, but I'm ready to bet it all on Beverly Hills because that trailer brought me back to life.
It is so explosive, but I'm kind of like concerned a little bit, Danny, because it seems to be all about Kyle and Mauricio. Like, everything in the trailer kind of related to the Kyle and Mauricio situation. We did have like a few stand-up moments. We had that weren't Kyle and Mauricio related. We had the new girl Anne Marie and Crystal getting into it, which I'm excited to see what that's about. I guess
we had "You're an Evil Woman." I am.
That I did like that. I really did like that. And then we also, do you know what's so funny is Erica Jane talking about the $7 OnlyFans bundles for Denise Richards, but that was way before her tickets for the Bet It All on Blonde residency were being sold for $7. So that maybe it was almost like she was like manifesting.
So it's kind of like the Pussycat Dolls said, "Be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it."
Yeah. Very true.
You get a Slurpee, you can get Denise Richards, you can get Erica Jane tickets. So it's all, all around that vibe. But people were also pointing out there's no really like sharks in the jets anymore too, where I'm like, Garcelle and Erica seem to be having like a good relationship and also being really funny together. Because those two girls, like, I always wondered, I'm like, I think they would really vibe if like they had the chance, and it seems like that chance is now.
Yeah, because that's the thing. We're both big fans of Garcelle and Erica, so it's nice to see two housewives that we love getting along, and suggesting that they might want to tag team a hot chef together.
We love to hear that, because last season it was Garcelle saying like, Erica, when does it become an alcoholic? When she was all concerned about that. And then they had their really back and forth. You can make yourself look bad, which was like an iconic line from Garcelle. But I'm loving them saying like $1 million watch. You're going to have to do some things for that. Having the time of their life, just single girls on the prowl. But I'm glad to know that it seems Sutton is still friendly with Garcelle. So that's not ruffling her feathers. But like you were saying that Sutton, because I think when you were talking to the Beverly Hills ladies, Sutton is kind of like the one who like pokes the bear a little bit with Kyle. And that seems to be accurate.
But like, I feel like Sutton is sort of speaking for the entire Bravo fandom at large, because it seems like she's just over the mystery. And I gotta say, like, I'm kind of at my wit's end, because it's like there's so many updates about Kyle and Mauricio, but then like no updates at all. And I just wish, for everyone's sake, even for Kyle and Mauricio's sake, we could just to be a little bit transparent about what's happening, because like, yes, we know they're struggling and they're trying to figure it out, but then like the Morgan weight of it all, which like now like Morgan's completely part of the show.
Even Dorit's like, you put your letter on her arm, like she was kind of just so like, Dorit's like, I'm trying to understand it too. I was shocked Morgan filmed scenes. I was not expecting that, which also now I'm kind of like, huh?
Yeah. And then also the other day, I think Kyle was caught by the Paps and they were like, can you just clarify your situation with Morgan, because we don't want to speculate any longer. And she said no. So it seems like for whatever reason, Kyle, I don't know if she's enjoying the speculation. I don't know if she's just not ready to say what's happening with Morgan, but it just seems like a lot of the speculation at this point, it just seems like a little unnecessary. And unfortunately, the Bravo fandom is so invested and interested in Kyle and Mauricio that they're not going to rest. They're not going to stop asking questions. They're not going to stop speculating until we get answers. But maybe that's the point. Maybe we'll get half an answer by the season finale of The Real Housewives of Beverly.
You put the first letter of your name on her body. What is going on, Kyle?
I'm just glad it's you out there having an affair.
Well, once it's me. We are a very strong family, and we always will be. Always will be. Nothing can change that.
And like you said, like Bravo fans are not going to stop speculating. And Paige said, we're not going to stop speculating either, because Des was at Dancing with the Stars where Mo is shirtless doing his little, doing his little dance. I didn't watch, but I know people were afraid he was going to get voted out. He didn't. But so happy for him for that. But also he's kind of just saying the same stuff that like, they always alternate between like three things now, I feel like, where it's like, we're a family. Okay. Or like, we don't know what's going on. Like, we're separated, but we're not separated. And then it's like, kind of like all this stuff. It's very Charlotte in Sex and the City when she goes to that party and her and Trey are separated and she talks corners out, girl, like, we're not divorced. No. And everyone's like, can you just like write down, like print it out, put it on a notes app and let us digest it. Like at this point, I don't know.
Yeah, so Mauricio told us that the other thing that they like to say too is that we're struggling. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
We're struggling and that they're not throwing in the towel just yet. So it seems like they are giving us hope, maybe giving themselves hope that they won't stay separated for good, because what they've made it very clear to the Bravo fandom and all the Housewives enthusiasts is that a divorce is not up for discussion. They're not trying to get a divorce. They don't want to get a divorce. So maybe the separation will conclude and they will be one big happy family in Encino with all the dogs and the daughters and the real estate, and you know what I'm saying? So
the agency.
That's my dream, because honestly, like I love Kyle and Mauricio and their family. It's like, it's very much goals in every sense of the Chugi term. Like it like I do want it all. Like I dream of a life like Kyle and Mauricio.
Oh,
we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. But all I do know is that it is a beautiful time to be a fan of Bravo, because not only is Beverly Hills coming back, but Miami is not just returning for season 6, but returning to Bravo for season 6. And bravo to that little trailer that came out, because everyone is fighting with everyone. I feel it was very much like I was laughing, I was captivated, I was crying. Like, they're really hitting every mark. These ladies do not know how to disappoint when it comes to both a trailer and a season, because they've been on fire lately.
Pathological liar. You lie about everything.
You gotta stop. Okay? You gotta stop saying that because you're wrong.
You're lying about everything. Get out.
Your mother called you mean. That's why she's not here.
Listen, this is gonna get nasty real quick unless you shut the up.
I do love how the trailer opens with the prayer to Our Lady. I feel like the Virgin Mary should be a cast member at this point, because we began with her, we concluded with her, and it seems like the girls, because so much mess is going on, like actually do need divine intervention, because like you said, Danny, there are a lot of fights and conflicts happening. Marisol and Adriana are going at it again, and of course we have Gertie versus Larsa, which I think that we kind of helped smart, like
baby, I'm sorry. We're not sorry, but we're happy. Like we like, I'm glad that they are just, letting it out, letting them how they feel each other. And then Kiki and Lisa. Well, I don't know what I was dying, because when Lisa's like, I just love animals. I'm like, where did this start from? But I can't wait how they're all like shouting on this boat while crying and like a band is playing. It literally does not get better than Miami.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see how that fight started, because I don't understand how we got from like Lisa Hochstein, animal rights activist, to Kiki repeatedly shouting, shut the up. And then Lisa's like, no, you shut the up. And then, like you said, like all of a sudden, like Julia's in the corner crying over a pair of bongos. Like, I don't know what's happening. Actually, Julia being very musical in this trailer. She was also singing opera.
She was.
And then another musical moment, we had Adriana performing at some sort of gay festival in like full-on Technicolor rainbow angel wings. It was giving like Victoria's Secret meets like Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat. I can't wait for that.
You put like a stage on semi-stilts and a few men in rainbow Speedos, and Adriana appears.
Yeah.
She's just like, that's my rider. That's her rider. And she just shows up.
But what did you think of Gertie calling Larsa a pathological liar? Because that's a big,
because that's just not your lying in this situation. It's like you are built on a web of lies. Yeah. And what I like is, I'm like, Gertie, I feel she likes to Gertify, and I never know her to Gertie lie. So I'm curious to see where the receipts are coming with that, because I feel our girl loves an Excel sheet, and I think she has some attention to detail. So I feel like she knows what's going on there.
I mean, obviously this is such a big season for Gertie too. In the trailer, we also have her revealing her breast cancer diagnosis. We have her revealing her shaved head. So I think this is going to be definitely a sort of like a tentpole season.
Yes.
She's involved in the drama. She's going through some big health stuff. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out for her. And if the Larsa feud happened before breast cancer diagnosis, because I think that when big things happen like that, obviously they have a way of bringing everyone together and putting things in perspective. And maybe Larsa's lies aren't, that big of a deal.
I still need answers about Alexi's apartment, though.
I know. She's got to move out in 15 days.
What I love about... Yeah, what'd you say?
I think she's out by now.
Oh, I hope. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, she's like 15 in what date? Like what month of the date? What's good about her apartment is because why I love the like vibe of it. Not a lot of decor, so I feel like it's easy in and out.
Yeah, very true. Well, Eileen, who lives in Miami, she did a house tour with Alexia. I mean, that apartment is just absolutely insane. But I think, from what I remember in that interview with Eileen, I think she said that she wouldn't be in there much longer. So she was prepping for the future. I think she wanted to stay in that building, though, which I think is the Porsche design building. It's such an insane building.
I love
the car elevator.
Oh,
you just drive into your apartment. Like,
God, she's such a Taurus. I mean, we are birthday twins, so I can shade her with this because I would also be in that. But I would love if she like got an alert from like Wells Fargo. She's like, yeah, I won't be in this apartment for that much longer, but it's not. Check the funds, but it is gorgeous, and those Miami views. And I'm sure there won't be any shade about that building. Like Lisa was throwing Larsa's building. I remember that last season.
The New Beginnings party that be turned into like the drug dealers and prostitutes party, like,
and you Airbnb your house out. I mean, the feuds don't stop feuding, and I feel like I don't know if Jessel knew the feud she was gonna accidentally start with the girl who likes to be real.
Yeah, when Jessel was asked who her most overrated housewife choice would be on Watch What Happens Live, Bethany Frankel is the last person I expected her to say, just because, with the way Bethany moves through life these days, if you say anything about Bethany, the TikTok is coming. She's going to respond somehow. So I don't know if, what I love about Jessel is that she is so filter free. So maybe she think about the potential repercussions from Bethany. But of course, Bethany had a lot to say.
For our girl, which while we don't love for her, we do love that she also had a lot to say to us about the season, that Psy lunch, and also Tribeca. Because you know what? I feel like we left her with a lot of ideas. There might be a Jessel walking tour in our future. So you guys will have to take a listen and find out. You know what I need you to do besides a popsicle brand? I need the Jessel walking tour of New York City, because there's the Tribeca moment, but the moment that also got me is when you and Pavitt went to Hudson Yards and he's like, everyone's here. You're like, is it? So I just want, lemonade stand, OnlyFans, and a walking tour, because I would love like, so Jessel, this is Soho, thoughts on it? And you're like,
yeah. Well, the other thing is like, and I spoke about this to one of my friends who lives in London. I grew up in England. I lived in LA. I lived in New York. I spent some time in Asia. And so when I walk around Tribeca and I'm like, why would people pay $50 million to live in a warehouse? I don't get it.
Well, and I mean, I don't know if you're the reason why Erin moved. Erin, she heard Tribeca's up and coming. She's got to move on up.
But hello, I made it relevant. Like I made fetch happen with Tribeca.
Yes.
You absolutely did.
You know what? Taylor Swift is suddenly back in New York a lot more after you said Tribeca's up and coming.
Oh my God.
Trying to help the neighborhood.
Yeah, it's too funny. It's really funny. But I really like a comment like that it was just like such a throwaway comment to me. And it's funny how New Yorkers really take things personally. You really sort of like see how proud they are of where they live and their zip codes. And it started a debate that we're still talking about it now, like almost 13 weeks after the fact.
There is a moment in that scene though, when you're like, oh, is it? There's kind of like a glint or like a slight smirk. And for a second, it's like, wait, does Jessel know what she's doing? Like, did you kind of know you were creating a moment?
I knew in that moment how to piss Erin off. And I think that was what the light bulb went off in my head, because I was like, I'm basically insulting a realtor about where she lives and about where she thinks, you know, the hottest neighborhood in New York City is. And it was a little bit of an aha moment. I was like, is it there?
It is so funny because now that you say it, like, you've changed my opinion on Tribeca, because when you walk around, it is just like desolate stuff and bubbies with pie.
And Bobby's in the Odeon. I mean, I do get the cachet, but like, you know, it's definitely become better. I would have to say that the restaurant scene, all that parks, and you know, it's definitely become better. But like for me, I didn't get it. Like I really didn't. I didn't get it. I was just so confused. Anyway, it's one of those things.
What do you
started
make
off wrong?
What do you make of all the observations to that meal with Sai that are sort of perpetuating online currently? Like we discussed before, it's a lot of support for you, and people seem to really be sort of dissecting every sort of millisecond of the scene. Has there been anything interesting that has stuck out to you that maybe you didn't realize in the moment with Sai, that you're like, oh my God, I because the thing that, like I was saying, Jessel, you're so positive and you ended that meal on such a positive note, but like watching the scene back, it didn't seem like you were receiving too much kindness. So it's like, I don't know, how do you reflect on it now, especially with all the public opinion?
Yeah, and I think like when you see kind of everything, when you see the sequence of how things are playing out on the show, like, you know, and Anguilla, for me, I was just having a good time. I'm so unaware and unbothered, and it's kind of a problem. But I didn't really like pick up on some of the vibes that were being like, you know, distributed. So I guess that lunch was ultimately a buildup of a lot of tension that was coming off of that trip, which also is why I wanted to kind of take Sai one-on-one and just look, like what she went through with her mom. I cannot, and I truly like felt this in the moment. I can't relate to that. Like I can't. But I did have, and I know my uncle, everyone's like, oh, you can't compare your uncle to your mom. My uncle was like my sliding door. So I lived with him when I first moved to New York. If he had said no, I wouldn't be here talking to you guys. Like that's how I look at it. He was such a big impact on my life. And I, you know, from childhood, like he's one of my favorite people growing up. So when that happened to him and she was telling the story, I was like, oh, wow. Like I would love to share something similar that I went through. And I felt like, you know, for Sai, she isn't someone that is emotional, right? Like, so I was like, I would love to just sit with her and have like a real conversation, get to know her a little bit better. The intention was completely positive and pure on my end. I just feel like for her, and, you know, looking back, I understand why she was feeling the way she was feeling. I think the situation with her mom was really like, it was something that she didn't want brought up, full stop. And I didn't know that at the time. So we were just not seeing eye to eye. And no matter how I was coming at the conversation, like no matter what I was trying to do to sort of like, you know, connect with her, I think that was what was stuck in her mind. She just didn't want to talk about her mom.
Yeah. Now we are talking to you today on October 3rd. It's Mean Girls Day. And it seems like you experience more Mean Girls behavior as the season wraps up. The preview for the next episode, my jaw is still on the floor. Jessel, what can you say about how things continue to devolve with Sai? And did you expect that the friendship would unravel this way? Because I feel like you went into that lunch thinking you could save it.
Yeah. Oh my God. And I had no idea it was even to the point where it was, you know, like I felt a lot of just like weird animosity, and I was not there, and I didn't think that we were there as friends either. You know, I walk in, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I'm so breezy. I'm like, do you want a drink? Like
iconic brunch. Yes, you walked in like I was like, that's how I walk in late. Yes.
But I didn't have any sense of like I was a little bit taken aback, I would say. I didn't have any sense of like, you know, her feelings towards me. And, you know, in that moment, I really was like, okay, wow, yeah, I get it. Like, we're not good. You know, we're not like, there's definite like resentment or whatever it may be in that moment. So I mean, that watching everything back, it was tough. I didn't expect, I think that they thought they were being funny and like lighthearted. Honestly, I don't think that they sort of were reading what was going to be shown.